a study among preschool children in Edmonton, Alberta, it was found that parents of 828 boys reported an average of 708.1 minutes of physical activity per week with a standard deviation of 512.6 minutes. Estimate the mean amount of physical activity per week performed by boys this age in Edmonton. Use a 90% confidence interval. So let's go through our 4-step process. So step 1 is to start with identifying what is that parameter that we're interested in. And it tells us in the final question is to estimate the mean amount of physical activity. So when we do this, we want to make sure we use the correct symbol. Since we're talking about the parameter of a mean, that would be the symbol mu. And again, it's the mean amount of physical activity. Right? So we know exactly what the parameter is and who the population that we're referring to. Step 2 is to, now that we know what we're trying to do, let's come up with the correct method. And since we're estimating a mean, again, that's what we're learning in this lesson, is that we can use a one sample t-interval. So now let's go through the process of actually calculating this. So to do the calculations, again, we need to start off with our best guess, which is our point estimate, x bar. If we're estimating a population mean, we're going to use the sample mean as our starting point. And then we need our margin of error, how much we think this x bar might vary around the true mean. So that's where this t star times our standard error, s over the square root of n, comes from. Right? It's basically the number of standard deviations away from our true value that we think we're going to go. So let's see if we can identify each of these pieces. It was given to us as x bar was 708.1 minutes because it says it's the average. We know s, the standard deviation of our sample, is 512.6. And of course we have n is our sample size, which in this study included the parents being surveyed of 128 boys, so 828. So the only thing, again, we are missing is our t star. So how can we figure out our t star? Well, we need our degrees of freedom. And remember, our degrees of freedom depends on our sample size. If we have 828, we just subtract one from that, and we get 827. So we're going to have 827 degrees of freedom. And now we can refer to our t calculator. So when we go to the t calculator, we're going to see is that we can select, again, the find percentile quantile, because we're looking for a boundary that captures a certain percentage. And we will type in our number of degrees of freedom. That was 827. We will select two-tailed, because again, in a confidence interval, we're trying to see how far this estimate might be upper or below the true mean. And we want to make sure that we're within that range, in this case, 90% of the time. And this is where we get our t critical value of 1.647. So we can see it here on the boundary, up here, and down at the bottom. So 1.647 is going to be our t critical value. So now that we have everything, we can plug it into our formula. So we have our x bar was 708.1 plus our t critical value of 1.647 times s, 512.6, over the square root of our sample size, which was 828. And now we can use our calculator to start calculating this out. So starting with the margin of error, if we type in 1.647 times 512.6 over the square root of 828, that will give us our margin of error to be 29.340. We round it to 3 decimals. And now to get our boundaries, we will just do the addition and the subtraction so we can find the upper and lower bound. And if we do that on both of these, it'll give us 678.76. And then when we add it, it'll give us 737.44. And here's our interval. course, our last step is we can never leave our interval as just the numbers. We want to know, what do these values mean? So step 4 is to write our conclusion sentence. That includes our confidence, our interval, and the context of what we are looking for here. So this is step 4. And so let's put this in here. I'll just type it out. In this case, we are looking at the mean amount. So we are 90% confident that the mean amount of physical activity per week by boys age 4 to 5 in Edmonton is between our interval, which is 678.76 and 737.4 minutes. And there's our 4-step process.